and Fulton coming to you on a tournament starting Wednesday. That is right. Nothing better than tournament basketball. The Big 12 tournament starting today. We've got state hoops starting today. Selection Sunday coming up on Sunday. I can't wait. I cannot wait. 2 games tonight, which are going to be great games. Normally, the first 2 games of the Big 12 tournament are not very good. But this year, you've got Oklahoma State, you've got Texas Tech, who've both pulled off big upsets. Oklahoma took Bama to the woodshed. People forget about that. When people are talking about, the SEC and Alabama, I'm like, yeah, the best team in the SEC got their absolute tails handed to them by far by the worst team in the Big 12.
Correct.
Oklahoma gave it to Alabama.
Took them to the proverbial woodshed.
So this is going to be some fun games. It really, really will. You got another edition of the Bedlam rivalry, which we're not going to have a whole lot here soon once Oklahoma leaves after next year. So Oklahoma State in action in the evening game. And then you got the 6 o'clock game, Texas Tech versus West Virginia. KU gets the winner of the 6 o'clock game. If I'm KU, go Red Raiders. Go Red Raiders. I don't want anything to do with West Virginia right now if I'm KU. But, I think the Big 12 tournament matters for KU. Some people don't. I think they're going to have to at least get to the finals if they want the number 1 overall seed. And that is pending that Houston wins the American. So I think KU does control their own destiny, but we'll have to wait and see what occurs for Big 12 hoops. We got a lot to get to. Jake, Levon, Fulton, Caster with you. We are off today at 2 o'clock because we got high school state basketball. Very first game on the docket today will be the Seaman Lady Vikes. They are the number 1 seed taking on St. James. Low-key, this is going to be a tough game. Here's the reason why. St. James plays in maybe the toughest league in women's basketball in the state. Very, very tough league. This is going to be a tough one. It will. And then we'll go to the Park girls against Aquinas. That one's even tougher because Aquinas might be the best girls basketball program in the state. They've gone to state, I think, 26 straight years or something like that.
It's a ridiculous consecutive streak.
It's incredible.
We talked about it. Brendan and Dan and I were chatting about state hoops yesterday, and I think, Aquinas, I think their record supersedes how long Brendan and I have been alive.
Yeah.
I'm not confident in that, but I think they might have been going to state longer than Brendan and I have been alive.
It's Aquinas or the Miege women. Those two. Those are the two that are the best in the state. Miege's got more titles.
Yeah, those programs are ridiculously good. So it'll be a test for both the girls.
Nothing to do with recruiting. None of that. Zero to do with that. So don't tell me that. So we got a lot to get to, but we are going to start things off. And as always, check us out on our YouTube page, Sports on 580. Check us out on our website, 580wibw.com. Let us know your thoughts on our text line, 785-272-9429. We're going to talk about the middle-class quarterback. It's back. It's back.
The middle class has returned.
It's returned.
It has finally returned to somewhere around here.
We will get to that coming up today. We're going to talk with Kellis Robinett at the bottom of the hour. Everyone loves the list. It is National Video Game Day. We're going to go way back. I don't know if you ever did it. They don't really happen anymore, but the arcade.
Yeah, so it wasn't a big staple, and I wouldn't say like the vintage classic what you think of for an arcade.
No, it's your arcade classics.
Yeah.
Like what you played.
Yeah, and some of those that I think are things you played, I have played as arcade style, and they're fun.
Yeah.
I got some vintage arcade games that I've played.
Yeah, so I want them arcade style, you know? Call of Duty ain't an arcade game.
No, it's not.
All right?
No.
So
I don't know. I got you.
Yeah.
Got some bangers.
I will be interested if you are going to have a little DDR in there. Because, man, Dance Dance Revolution was a
It
thing
was. I don't know if it'll be.
school.
I don't know if it'll be on the list. Still finalizing it. I can confirm though. I have played the good old Big Machine
DDR,
in the joint. dancing on the DDR machine.
There have been some guys
Young
who
Fulton tried to bust some moves on that. Didn't go well.
There have been some young lads who showed their moves and wooed said teenage girl thinking that they were cool.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. That's
good old DDR.
I definitely didn't do that. But
neither did I, buddy. Neither did I.
But first thing, the Kansas City Chiefs moving on from Frank Clark. Looks like they're going to move on from Orlando Brown. Because if I'm Orlando Brown, I'm not going to take what the Chiefs offer. I'm going to go to free agency.
No.
So the Kansas City Chiefs are going to restructure Chris Jones. They need to do it sooner than later. So my question I've got for you, let's say they restructure Chris Jones. They're saving $21 million in cap space with Frank Clark. They're going to save, let's say they're going to extend Chris Jones because they're dumb if they don't. Find a way to do it, whatever, pay that man his money. His cap hit is 29 this upcoming year. Let's say they get it down to 18. Okay?
Okay.
Just for safety's sake, 18.
No,
not a lot, 18. Not a lot, but a little. So that's $12 million there. So just in those two moves, they are going to save $33 million in cap space. So what are you doing with $33 million in cap space? You need a left tackle, you need a right tackle, you need a defensive end, and you need a nose guard and a wide receiver. So there are 5 positions that the Kansas City Chiefs need, and you've got $33 million in cap space, and you've got 12 draft picks. Now, there are a few other ways that you can move around some money. Try to figure out something with Joe Thuney. You can move some money around. They probably don't want to move around Patrick Mahomes' money unless they absolutely have to. So you've got $33 million in cap space. You got 5 positions that you need. Left tackle, right tackle, defensive tackle, wide receiver. 4 positions. Left tackle, right tackle, defensive tackle, and wide receiver, essentially. You got 4 positions. What are you doing?
So if I'm trying to prioritize this of where my money is being spent the most, if Juju wants to come back, I think that's where the majority of my money would end up being spent, depending on how contract is structured. Now, that being said, cap hits are important. I think you could pay Juju the biggest contract and have the lowest cap hit in the first year.
Correct.
I think you could get Juju on somewhere of a $7 to $8 million cap hit in year 1, and then you play around with the money in year 2 and year 3. Because I think Juju on a 3 to 4 year deal is the goal. So that's the thing I try and do. If I don't sign Juju, I'll be honest, I'm just looking at the vet wide receivers and go, who wants a 1-year prove-it deal and get a bunch of money because you play with Mahomes? Who wants to earn a bunch of money next year because your stats look good because you play with the best quarterback in the NFL? Who's coming? Come on, all takers. Because you'll get like 5 dudes who'll be like, I'll give it a shot. And from there, you could probably only have to do about, that's somewhere $8 to $9 million cap hit range. And then I'm going to left tackle because the more I've thought about this, I know Brett Veach has kind of said, or it's been more let to be known, they want a long-term solution at the position. And the more I think about it, the idea of getting a 1-year vet in the door this year and drafting a guy to develop, I think is the right move. Because there's not a lot of day 1 starters you would probably get at the end of round 1, early round 2 if you navigated well. But there's some guys that, with Andy Heck's coaching, could be ready to start in year 2. There's some guys that need just a little bit of refinement that you could start in year 2. So, maybe Taylor Lewan wants to come play for a year and you kick the tires on that.
And
he tweeted about it today.
How about that? So, Taylor Lewan, very online. And the reason why he's very online is just he does what Travis Kelce does. He hosts a very popular podcast.
Yeah, it just
called Bussin' with the Boys, where they get you on a bus with former Washington linebacker and Nebraska Cornhusker Compton.
Yeah, we'll come.
And they just shoot the BS, right?
Yeah, shoot the breeze.
So he is very online. He tweeted out today, Chiefs at the Chiefs with the googly eye.
The little side-eye emoji. Like,
those are side-eye?
I call them side-eye because in the angles, you're looking at the side. That's the angle.
But that's not a side-eye.
I know, that's why it's not the best describer, but I don't think calling them googly eyes is the right way to.
The eye emoji.
Yeah, the eyes is the best way to call
the big eye emoji.
Yeah.
he's not doing that just to screw with people, I don't think.
There's a little bit of that is Luan just likes to have fun. A little bit probably is.
Because here's the thing, I don't think it's that terrible of an idea.
It's not.
I threw that out a couple weeks ago.
My whole thing with it is, as a long-term solution, no, I wouldn't be on board with it. Because I honestly have no faith how much Luan's got in those knees, man. He's torn his ACL twice.
Yeah.
That matters. But, I mean, can you get one good year out of Taylor Lewan, who at his best was a top-tier left tackle? There's a reason he was getting paid by Tennessee.
Correct.
He was a really good left tackle. You know, you were already in your game plan having to help Orlando Brown. If you have to help Taylor Lewan, that doesn't change much, especially if you're paying him a lot less. So, I mean,
he would be 80% the player, third of the cost.
And that also being said, Taylor Lewan fits the mold of a guy of like, one, more of a veteran, so maybe he's not looking for long-term money, but a guy who has a little bit to prove. And Lewan's been kind of open about that. You know, he knew he got cut because of his injuries in his cap hit. He said it on his podcast months before the Titans ever actually cut him. He was like, I'm going to be cut this year. He was like very clear. He was like, I'm making too much money with my injury history and what Tennessee's got going on. I'm getting cut this year. He wasn't hurt by it. He just knew like that's business. Now there's other stuff that might have him in Tennessee on bad terms, but the simple concept of cutting didn't. So, I mean, I kick the tires on Taylor Lewan. I see what he's doing. Caleb McGarry might get released. I think about that and see what he want to go to the left side. He's been more of a right tackle, but you never see. Donovan Smith got cut. Donovan Smith's been a pretty good player in Tampa Bay. So, you know, I think more and more left tackle's a spot where I think of a one-year vet, draft somebody as the long-term replacement and bring them along slowly to have them learn, because Andy Heck's done such a good job coaching up the offensive line.
All right,
and then you're not risking about putting him there.
How much money are you spending on Luan or McGarry or somebody like that?
The most I'm probably spending is $10 million.
Okay.
I'm willing to go to 10.
Okay. So now you got $23 million.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
At that point, I probably go, Dunlap, you want to come back for $5 million?
Okay.
Someone similar to Carlos Dunlap, you want to come in for $5 million, be a veteran edge?
Okay.
Because I don't think the Chiefs need a starting edge. I think you can actually get in the draft a more current rotation guy. You know, but I go, you know, veteran edge here, $5 million. You want to come play for a year, just be a part of the rotation, ring chase essentially. You know, Dunlap's the main voice I go to, but any other insert veteran defensive end here. I'm not really specific on the guy. You know, we've mentioned Bud Dupree a couple of times. My entire thing comes down to scheme fit. But if Steve Sunderland went, I can make him fit in the scheme. All right, Bud, $5 million. Come play ball.
The reason I put this together is if you just make those two moves, you have $33 million that you can do. And so if you give 10 to a tackle, that's $23 million. Let's say you give $5 million to Dunlap. All right. Now you're down to, you know, $18 million.
Let's say we give 8 to Juju in the first year of a contract. Now, let's call it that.
Juju's contract, they're averaging it out to be 4 years, $58 million. And it all depends on the guaranteed money.
It does. It's guaranteed. So that's why I'm kind of saying, you know, like first year of that deal, could you make it like 8? Yeah. And I think you could. So first years are super cheap. So let's make it 8.
Okay.
So we have to take. So we're now down to
$10
million left.
And you've already signed.
I've got a vet wide receiver back in my room in Juju.
Yep.
I got a 1 year left tackle for this year.
Taylor
and I got a veteran edge to be in the rotation.
Yep.
Can $10 million get me Colin Saunders back at the door?
Oh, easily.
Boom. You have filled baseline your needs with what you got, and I've extended Chris Jones, and I've not triggered the Mahomes deal. It is not as simple as this. It is incredibly not as simple as this.
Or is it?
Well,
I mean,
if you can make if everyone can agree to the numbers. And the thing is, I don't think any of the numbers we're putting out there that crazy. Carlos Dunlap made, I think, like $3 million or something this year. I'm giving him a $2 million raise in this deal to come back from.
And you might not even have to do that.
Taylor Lewan,
he got older.
You know, $10 million on a 1 year contract, $10 million. Throw some incentives in there that wouldn't be cap hit related.
He'd be ring chasing
to reset his market. You know, like I've tried to, like Juju is, he gets the bigger deal, but year one cap hit is small, which is like, Juju, you're still getting your money, just year one, your cap hit's low. Like, you know, Colin Saunders, I got 10 million to play with. Would you like 5 in your first year, 5 to 6? That's a raise for you. Because I think he was probably like, you know, 3 million this past year. You know, that's where I don't think even these numbers are that crazy, because all the 1-year guys, their numbers are relative to what they should be looking for. And then for Juju, it's just you structure the contract to have the low cap hit in year 1, which literally every contract for every player ever does. Devontae Adams' cap hit this year was like $8 million, and then it explodes. Then it's like, all right, Juju, the next couple of years, we can talk about, $18 to $20 million cap hits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all very doable. It is.
And that's why, one, they didn't want to lock up Orlando Brown.
Yeah, because then you would not have $20 million to play with.
No,
it would be stuck there.
No, you would have $12 million until you found a trade partner or until you made it work. So I look at this as a very doable situation for the Kansas City Chiefs. Donovan Smith, Mitch McGary, Taylor Lewan, and that doesn't even count, trying to trade for somebody. So that leaves the talent, and you still got Lucas Niang. You still can bring back, somebody. You still got Darian Kennard, who they hope can turn into the Nick Allegretti.
And I mean, and the idea of like, we've talked about how there's like, about $10 million left over. Throw $5 million at Andrew Wiley to come back at right tackle. Throw $5 million and say, Wiley, you want to come back and play right tackle? Multi-year deal. Give you a $5 million cap hit in year 1, which I think is still a raise.
And you still got 12 draft picks, and 3 in the top, 100 that you can use. So this is with the extension of Chris Jones, you get a lot of cap space. You can make it work now.
And that's not even extending Chris Jones and reducing his cap hit by a wicked amount. Like, we're still paying Chris Jones like $18 million this year. There's a chance that with the extension of Chris Jones, his first year cap hit gets real wonky and low.
Yeah. Right now, the Chiefs, because they cut Frank Clark, they have $17 million in cap space.
Yeah.
That's what they've got.
And they got other moves to make.
Coming up, we will do a little edition of You Did What, and then we'll talk all things Big 12 hoops with Kellis Robinett. Time for a little you did what. I'm going to go off the sports path.
Okay.
And I am going to go to the great state of Florida.
Oh, boy.
A Florida man today stole $950 worth of lobster tails.
Nice.
He's got a lot of lobster tails.
Lobster tails are delicious.
Yep. Stole them from a restaurant.
Good job, man.
Got them off the back, the back truck.
Good job, man.
Then he tried to sell them to a grocery store.
Oh,
because
no.
That's how grocery stores buy their lobster tails, from random dudes in the back parking lot.
Spoiler, buddy, I worked in a seafood department. That's not how we do things. That's not how we do things. I have intimate knowledge of this.
A guy rolls up to Dylan's Hy-Vee price shopper, whatever.
Brother, that's not how this works. We have distributors.
Look at what I got, man. Look at all these lobster tails and shrimpy shrimps, man. How about we have some of this?
It's not how this works at all.
And then he was like, all right, that ain't working. So then he uses a stolen credit card at the same store. First of all, that's the hat trick. It is very simple. 1, you're stealing lobster tails.
Yep.
From a restaurant. 2, you're trying to sell them to a grocery store. It's not how things work.
Not how it works at all.
Strike 2. Then strike 3, you're using a stolen credit card at the same store that you were trying to sell the lobster tails. Because here's what they're going to do. Hey, there's like a guy back there dressed in this shirt, this hat. He looks like this. Yeah, he's trying to sell us, black market lobster. What do you want us to do? Oh, wait, that's him right there who just paid for something. Is that your credit card? No. I mean, that's incredible.
Brother.
That's incredible.
Brother, that's not how that works.
That's incredible.
I can promise you, no one in those departments is going to go, yeah, we'll buy those off you on the back of the back alley here. No.
You do. Where you take those is you take those to a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, that you go to the neighborhood and go, who wants some?
You need to go, to Clarion Lake.
More importantly, you just have a lot of lobster tails for yourself now.
Yeah, but you can't eat 950.
Well, that's why you don't steal 950.
No, you try to make a profit. I get that.
Yeah, that's fair.
You not go to Clarion Lake, Lake Sherwood, stand out there. It's like a lemonade stand, except for lobster tail.
Fair.
Coming up next, we're going to talk all things Big 12 hoops with Kellis Robinett. Short edition of Mic'd Up today due to high school state basketball. We've got 2 5A games plus a 2A game that we will get to. The Lady Vikes taking on St. James at 2 o'clock. Highland Park taking on Aquinas at 4 o'clock. And then we will get to St. Mary's. They won state football and they win state basketball. We'll get to that at 8 o'clock from Bramlage. And speaking of Bramlage, we're going to talk all things K-State with Kellis Robinett of the Wichita Eagle. You need to follow him on Twitter at Kellis Robinett. He is going to be in Kansas City. Kellis, will you be in attendance in Kansas City this evening for the 2 games tonight, or will you make your appearance coming up tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll make an appearance at least the first game tonight. I got some Kansas State basketball practice to watch at the arena here this afternoon, so I'll already be there. Might as well take in some basketball. I'll be watching on TV if I wasn't there, so I'll watch as much as I want until I get bored, I guess, which could be 5 minutes, could be 4 hours. We'll see.
We'll see. The games should be pretty good if they're like any other Big 12 basketball game this year. They've been pretty much all entertaining. Let's get to the K-State Wildcats, the loss to West Virginia. How do you react to that one?
It was expected, I think, to go all the way out there and play the Mountaineers on a Saturday. It's never easy. They had a huge crowd on hand. It was their senior day. West Virginia, they struggled in the Big 12, but most analytical sites had them as a top 25 team. They're good, and they do a lot of things that Kansas State doesn't do very well. Their 3 biggest strengths are getting to the rim, scoring at the free throw line, turning you over. 3 things Kansas State, when they lose, those are 3 things that go against them. So, especially to not have Destin Stills in the lineup, go out there against a bad matchup on paper. Not really surprising. Kansas State didn't have all that much to play for. West Virginia more or less punched its ticket to the dance with a win. So I was kind of expecting that. I don't think it really matters one way or the other how that game played out. From Kansas State's perspective, they'll just hit the reset button and try to get it going again in Kansas City. And just a much bigger deal for West Virginia because now they can feel good about being a part of March Madness.
For K-State, how important is Desi Sills to this team right now?
I mean, he's pretty important since they switched to the starting lineup that had him in it instead of David Gasson. They won their next 4 games, undefeated, 4-0 run. That shows you how important he is. And he gives them a spark offensively. He gives them a big spark defensively that lets them play a little bit faster, gives them a little bit more of that Baylor look with some long guards, long wings everywhere. So it matters. Would they have won that game with them? I don't think so, but they definitely want him back for the Big 12 tournament, and he's back with the team now, so that is a good sign for them.
When it comes to the Big 12 tournament, K-State's got the late game. Of course, you can hear that right here on your home for K-State Athletics, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. No Eddie Lampkin. He's taking a leave of absence. How does that affect this game in your mind?
Well, that hurts TCU because, all season you've been saying, well, when they're at full strength, they're as good as anybody in the Big 12. So if Lampkin's not going to be in there, then that obviously means they're not at full strength, and their ceiling is a little bit lower than it was previously. But I will say that his numbers aren't like spectacular or anything like that. So if you're gonna, regret losing anybody, you regret not having Miles. Not having Lampkin is not like a death blow or anything. But I would definitely give, Kansas State a little bit of an advantage that I wouldn't have otherwise with them out.
When it comes to this TCU team, what do they do well that could cause K-State some concerns?
Hold on one second.
Are you paying a toll, it sounds like? Are you paying a parking attendant? You gotta love live radio because you never know what's gonna happen. Are you paying it sounds like you parked and you were in a parking garage and you had to pay somebody. Is that correct? Am I correct?
I had to drop something off for my son at school real fast. Sorry.
Hey, I get that, man. Anybody that's got kids, the amount of stuff that I've had to drop off. Now, the difference is you're going to a school. My kids are not old enough yet. I just go to our daycare. So I feel you, man. Don't feel bad on your end.
All right. Well, sorry about that. Hit me with that question one more time.
What does TCU do well that concerns you if you're K-State?
I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going to be concerning there is the way they turn you over. When Kansas State went to TCU earlier this year, they were undefeated in conference play. Everybody's feeling really good about how things are going. They turned the ball over like 23 times. TCU scored pretty much 2 points on every single one of those turnovers and just ran Kansas State off the court. They're the number one transition team in the entire country. So
really,
you gotta play TCU. Oh yeah, they are lethal in the in the open court.
I knew they were good in the open court. I just didn't realize they were number one. Like, you're number one. That's number one of 365 teams.
Oh yeah. They score in the open court better than anybody else, and that's why they've been able to win as many games they have while being one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country. They just don't care about that stuff. They would much rather take risks, turn you over, score easy buckets so nobody's defending you, and not worry about threes. They're kind of the anti of what you see everywhere else. So if Kansas State can avoid turnovers, or when they do commit turnovers, they're throwing them out of bounds, committing travels, not just giving the ball to TCU at midcourt for easy points the other way, then I think they'll probably win. But if they do give TCU a bunch of cheap points, they're going to have a big hole to dig out of, and that's kind of where I think the game will be decided.
We're talking all things K-State hoops here with Kellis Robinett, part of our Road to a Championship with KU and K-State, brought to you by Lewis Toyota here in Topeka, I-470 and Fairlawn. Shop Lewis, shop local. All right, what do they got to get to go to Des Moines? Do they have to beat TCU, and if they beat TCU, are they in Des Moines? Or they got to get to the finals? Are they already in Des Moines? Or do you think if they lose to TCU, they end up going to Denver? And is that a big deal if they end up going to Denver?
I don't think it's a big deal. I think Kansas State fans will travel to either Denver or Des Moines. It might actually be a little easier for them to get tickets if it's in Denver, because you're not competing with Kansas for spots in the arena. They're about Des Moines is a little closer, but it's no big deal. I would argue that drive to Colorado seems shorter, even if it's an hour longer. So I don't think that matters all that much. I think Kansas State and their fans will be happy with either one of those locations. What will it take to land one of them? For Des Moines, I think you're probably looking at 2 games here in Kansas City. If they can reach the final, I think that'll lock that up. Certainly, if they win the tournament, I think you can just go ahead and pencil in KU and K-State there in Iowa. If that doesn't happen and Kansas State loses TCU tomorrow, then really their location is up for grabs. It really depends on what a lot of the other teams who are vying for one of those 3 and 4 seeds do. Gonzaga could end up in Denver if they pass Kansas State. Marquette could end up in Des Moines. There's a lot of teams in other conferences that are, right on the edge there of passing Kansas State. So it not only matters what Kansas State does, it matters what those other teams do in their tournaments. So you got to keep an eye on everything. I think they'll probably end up in one of them, but especially with Gonzaga winning the WCC tournament last night, that puts a little bit of pressure on things. So if this is a team that cares about where they start out, then winning in Kansas City is going to be a priority.
I do think it's interesting if you're K-State. I think KU's in Des Moines no matter what. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think if K-State goes to Des Moines, they're going to be playing in the early session. So they're going to be playing early on Thursday, because if KU is in Des Moines and a number 1 seed, they're going to be the second session on Thursday, because Des Moines is a Thursday, Saturday. Denver is a Friday, Sunday. If you play with KU and KU's there, KU's going to get the evening session. So that means you're in the morning session, because you got to play with the team that you're going to face next. So to me, if they end up in Des Moines, K-State's looking at a noon or a 2 o'clock or a 1 or a 3 o'clock tip-off. I think it's going to be an early afternoon game if they're in Des Moines.
Yeah, very possible. So I guess, I don't really know what it would be in Denver, but if you like playing earlier in the day, which Jerome Tang said earlier this week that he does, because he likes winning and then going home and watching other games and seeing the Kansas State score on the ticker and reminding him that he won all day. That's the part.
All right, let's get to all Big 12 teams. Can you explain to me which media member thought I don't want Marquise Noel on my first team all Big 12 ballot? I need to know that person because I need to unfollow them.
It wasn't me. I'll say that. I voted him to the first team. You don't have to have a witch hunt with me in it. But I don't know why somebody would do that. There really wasn't a great other option slot in there. So that one's a mystery to me. I'm surprised that not that both Marquise and Keontae weren't unanimous first team selections on both the media and the coaches teams. I thought they'd be right there with Jalen Wilson. I guess they weren't. Keontae did get unanimous first team from the media, so at least people recognized his game. And I don't know what it was with Noel. The only thing I would say is that his turnovers are a smidge high. He's made up for it by scoring so many points, putting up so many assists, but you really just want to look at a negative. I suppose his turnovers are amongst the highest in the conference just because he's such a volume player and those are going to come. But that's really the only explanation I could give you. But even then, Deontay Johnson turns the ball over at a high rate, so that wouldn't have bothered people then. So a little puzzling there for sure.
All right, let's get to Jerome Tang. First of all, do you think he gets a contract extension, a contract boost? What do you think Gene Taylor's going to do?
Oh, they'll reward him. I couldn't tell you how many years or how much money, but he was only making, I believe, $2 million or close to that this season. Now he'll bank more than that because he's hit so many bonuses. Expectations are so low for him this season. He was going to get a bonus just for going to the NIT. He's going to sail over that. There's a bonus in there for winning Big 12 Coach of the Year. He's got that. There's a bonus in there for winning AP Coach of the Year. He's going to get that. So he'll make more than $2 million this year. But just given how well, not only how well he's coached, but how well he's engaged with the community and just the way people love him around here, I'm sure they're not going to leave anything to doubt. Even if nobody else comes after him, I think they'll sit down and say, look, this was a great first year. We love the direction. Things going. We want to make this, lock this up for even longer than we already have. So I think he signed, like I said, $2 million for around 6 years. I don't know that you need to add any more, length to that. 6 years is a pretty solid number anymore, but I bet they give him a new 6-year deal and, come close to doubling his salary, something like that. It'll be well deserved.
Do you think K-State fans are going to have to deal with what Wichita State fans had to deal with Greg Marshall? Now I get it, hindsight, what Marshall, you know what I'm talking about though. The whole Marshall thing did not end obviously well, but during that entire time it was, oh, what are we going to do? Is Marshall going to go somewhere else? We know that the Texas job is going to be open. Do you think that this is going to be a yearly thing if Jerome Tang continues to win?
I don't. I've never really been too concerned about him leaving for Texas, even though it's been open. I think the one thing you would have to worry about with Jerome Tang would be if the Baylor job ever opened. If for some reason Scott Drew left for like Kentucky or something like that, and all of a sudden Baylor was open, that's the job I could see, being tempting for Jerome Tang. But other than that, he's super happy here in Kansas State. He's super loyal. And Kansas State just has more resources. It's in a better conference. They can pay him more money than Wichita State did with Greg Marshall. So, and anymore it's just rare for a coach from a power conference to leave for another job just because they can pay comparably. Mm-hmm. He was going to go anywhere. It would have to be replaced with a bunch of money, like in the SEC or the Big Ten. He doesn't like cold weather. Probably cross off any place in the Big Ten. Maybe I'm just being naive here, but no, I don't think it's going to be like a yearly thing where people don't wonder who's going to come try to poach your kid.
We're talking with Kellis Robinett, covers the K-State Wildcats for the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star. This is our Sunflower Road to a Championship, brought to you by Lewis Toyota at 470 and Fairlawn here in Topeka. By Lewis, by local. All righty, last two questions, two for the road for you, Kellis. Very simple, very easy. Who wins the Big 12 tournament?
I think it's going to be a screwy tournament. I don't love just with how crazy the results have been all season. I'm in no mood to back Kansas or Texas here. I think it's going to be somebody else. I think we're going to see Iowa State and TCU in the final, and even with Lampkin out, I kind of lean TCU. I think they might win it all.
TCU gonna win it all. No kidding. Now I got to look up what TCU is to win the Big 12 and see how much money I'm going to make now on your prediction. I'm excited about this, Kellis. Do you have an idea what TCU is for winning the Big 12 tournament?
It depends on the book, but I've seen it as high as about plus 900. So 9-1 odds. Iowa State creeped up to 13-1. So given how they play in that building, I think that's worth a flyer too. Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking. I think we see some of those lower seeds make some noise.
TCU just plus 500 TCU. So there you go, folks. Kellis Robinett going with TCU to win the Big 12. Plus, Iowa State plus 1,500. All righty, last question I got for you. Today is National Video Game Day. What was your favorite arcade game that you played growing up?
Woo, man. I mean, I could put together a whole first team, second team, third team honorable mention there, but I would say, the game I'm still pretty partial to, Homer March, Bart, or Lisa, just walked around Springfield just smacking people with like a skateboard or a purse or whatever. That game was awesome. I still sometimes take my kids to, like places to play, and they've got that game there, and I'll play it while they're goofing around. Yeah, that's a great just push button smasher. Love that one.
Love that one. This Simpsons fantastic. Kellis, you are the best. We appreciate the time. Have fun in Kansas City.
All right, thanks.
Kellis Robinett of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star, talking little K-State. Button smasher. Simpsons walking around.
Love just a good arcade game. Let's just smash the button a few times.
Smash the button a few times. That's really. He's got Iowa State TCU. How about that? As a Kansas fan, how do you feel about that?
It's not a crazy idea.
I think it's a crazy idea.
It's not the craziest idea. I think crazier ideas exist. It's not what I'd pick, but.
Did you fill out the bracket?
I did once Brendan told me that's what you wanted me to do today.
Yeah, I mean, I put a bracket at your desk.
I don't know what you want me to do with that.
You when someone all of a sudden just sees a bracket at your desk,
I think, wow, why is there a bracket on my desk?
You don't think, wow, I could fill this out.
I mean, I probably think about it, but I don't go, wow, somebody wants me to fill this out.
If somebody put so if I just put a random bracket on your desk, you wouldn't fill it out.
I mean, eventually I might, but I would probably eventually find you and go, hey, do you want me to fill this out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you filled it out?
Yes. No, it's filled out at my desk.
All righty. We're going to go through who we've got winning it all. And we're going to have our own Big 12 mini bracket that we are going to do. Because coming up next week, we will have the 580 sports team fill out the bracket. And
it's going to be a joy.
But I'm afraid I need to tell you to fill it out, because if I put a giant bracket on your desk...
No. I'm taking a minute to defend myself here. I don't care. Whatever. I don't care. I'm defending myself for a minute here. The Big 12 tournament bracket is different. I assumed that it needed to be filled out. I have the context clues to figure it out, but I still don't know for sure. I assume, but I don't know for sure. The NCAA tournament is different. Of course I know if that exists, we're filling it out. That's our content every year at this time.
I don't care if it's
Infinitely different.
or schmontent.
Infinitely different.
If there's a bracket in front of me on cereal, I'm filling it out. How can you not? I thought that was kind of fun.
I mean, I might. I didn't know that we were needing it to be filled out for a contest, content, or if it was just, hey, guys, we're doing this just for fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there was like a higher purpose behind it. The NCAA tournament bracket, I very much know, because we're like every other sports show across the continental United States, and we're gonna get content out of that.
We're just gonna do the Big 12 tournament as well. I guess,
and that's fine. That's why I did it.
I guess I didn't need to, give you detailed instructions. Next time I'll tell you, okay, Iowa State's going to play Baylor. I need you to pick one of those
No.
teams.
You just need to say, hey,
here.
Fulton, I put a bracket on your desk. We're doing a bracket pool for this thing. You knew when I walked in the building. You could hear me at my desk. I'm not a quiet person.
I thought you would just do it easily, real quick, no issues.
You could also just say, hey, Fulton, there's a bracket on your desk real quick. Fill us out when you get a chance.
I was busy, man. I got busy doing boss things. We'll get a timeout. Coming up next, we'll finish off this noon hour here on Mic'd Up. Hour, we will get to our favorite arcade games. We'll also talk about the middle class quarterback. Is that a way to go? We will get to that as well. We'll talk Big 12. All of that coming up in the 2 o'clock hour before we hand it off to Brendan Dorzinski at White Auditorium for high school state hoops. The Highland Park girls will be taking on St. Thomas Aquinas at 4 o'clock. And then at 2 o'clock, it'll be Seaman, the Lady Vikes, taking on the St. James Academy Thunder. Are they the Thunder?
I believe.
I think they're the Thunder. But that'll be coming up at 2 o'clock. The Seaman Lady Vikes,
Thunder.
number 1 seed in Class 5A girls. So it should be a lot of fun. We got a lot to get to coming up in the 1 o'clock hour to wrap up this edition of Mic'd Up. That's all coming up here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WMAW. Coming to you on a Wednesday. That's right. State basketball tournament starting in less than 1 hour. We are going to head to White Auditorium for our first two games for today. Brendan Dorzinski on the call this evening. Dan Lucero will be in Bramlage for the St. Mary's boys. They won state football. 6th seed in basketball. It's a dangerous seed. Dangerous seed, the 6th seed. That was good for a 4-5 matchup, but they're not the 8th seed. They're a 6. Good spot to be in the state tournament. So we will get to that coming up today. Everyone loves the list. We'll talk more Big 12 hoops coming up here on this edition of Mic'd Up. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Very simple, very easy. 785-272-9429. You can check us out on our YouTube page. Go to Sports on 580 in YouTube. Very simple. Click subscribe, hit the like button. Check us out on our website, 580www.com. I did not know if we would ever get to this day. And that day is the middle class of quarterbacks. You've got the rookie quarterback. You've got the middle class quarterback now. and you've got the top tier quarterbacks when it comes to their numbers, their contracts. This is all money related. Rookie quarterbacks, middle class quarterbacks, and then you've got your top tier quarterback money. Top tier quarterback money. Those are the Deshaun Watson numbers, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen numbers. Those are your $40 to $50 million cap hits. That is what I refer to. 40, honestly, I probably need to go a little higher than that. $45 million cap hits and more. That is the upper tier when it comes to the cap hit situation. But you've now got 3 quarterbacks who are in that kind of middle of the road. They're not costing you a boatload of money, but they are not costing you rookie salary money. They are in kind of the middle, and all 3 of them to me are middle of the road quarterbacks. So 3 quarterbacks have just signed contracts. All right. Derek Carr, we know that with the Saints. Then you had Geno Smith, and then you had yesterday Daniel Jones. And everybody's looking at this, oh, Daniel Jones signed a 4-year, $160 million deal. No, he didn't. Stop it. Get some help. That was my Michael Jordan, PSA there. Stop it. Get some help. You got to look at the guaranteed numbers and the cap hits, dead cap, and your cap number. So right now, Derek Carr's cap hit this coming year, $19 million. Next year, it's going to be $45 million. And the year after that, $39 million. But you can cut it. It's cheaper to cut him than to play him. But $39 million for a cap hit is not outrageous in 2025. $19 million this year. So really, out of the 3-year deal that he signed, it is 1 year where it is an egregious cap hit of $45 million. But 19, 39 plus a $45 million cap hit, and he won't be playing in 2026 for the Saints. He won't. He'll be cut because he'll save them $47 million. So I think this is a middle of the road contract. This isn't a big time This was Daniel Jones's contract. Let me rephrase that. Daniel Jones's contract, $19 million cap hit this year, $45 million cap hit next year, and then a $39 million cap hit. I think the $45 million is too much for Daniel Jones. But $19 million, 45, and then 39 is not terrible, and you can move on from him. Let's say you're like, look, that is not going to work out. We'll just eat the money come 2025, and then 2026, he's not going to be a part of the team.
Yeah.
This is a 2-year deal, and then we're going to wait and see.
Yeah, he gets all of his guaranteed money in the first 2 years. He gets this next year to really see what he is. And then at worst, the Giants, and they're willing to accept it, they have to pay a bad quarterback $45 million for 1 season.
That's it.
And they are setting themselves up to believe, 1, the cap will balloon enough that they can make it make sense. Yep. Other things will be in the situation they can make it make sense. And if they believe in Daniel Jones enough, then he's worth that money.
We think he did enough last year, even though he only threw for 16 touchdowns, that we feel like next year he'll improve and he'll keep improving. This is we're going to think over the next 2 years, he's going to be much better. And we are willing to bite the bullet. But $19 million this upcoming year, that's a middle-class quarterback. It's not a rookie contract, but it's not a major contract. That's what Daniel Jones is getting. And then in 2024, as you said, the cap hit will go up even further. That $45 million would probably be more like $35 million this year. I think that $45 million cap hit is a little bit too high, but they basically have said we're willing to go 2 years with Daniel Jones to see what we've got. And let's say they put everything on the table. We think Daniel Jones, along with Brian Daboll. We think he's going to be good. Well, guess what? Then you got Daniel Jones on a $39 million cap hit in 2025, where the salary cap will probably be close to $40 million more than it is now. That's a great situation to be in if you are the Giants. So I get this from Daniel Jones. He gets $80 million guaranteed. That is life-changing money. Good for Daniel Jones. Would I have done this contract? No, I would not have. I wouldn't have. Because I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be that guy. But they are. They're willing to do it. Plus, they still think, hey, if we can build around Daniel Jones, we think we can end up getting a better team and we can produce something. Now let's go to the Saints. I hate to say this, but I think the Saints did a tremendous job working this contract. And the reason why, first of all, he's going to be the best quarterback in the AFC South maybe for the next 2 years.
He'll be close.
Well, he already is the best quarterback right now.
Best right now.
And I don't know what they're going to do unless you get in a rookie who all of a sudden lights everybody on fire. But this year's cap hit, 2023, $7 million. Next year, $35 million. $35 million cap hit when the cap is going to go up another $10 to $15 million. That's middle of the road. It ain't 49 like Dak Prescott's going to get. How much different is Derek Carr from Dak Prescott? Honestly.
Not much.
Would you rather
Honestly, not much.
Would you rather have Derek Carr or Daniel Jones?
I'd probably take Carr.
Well, would you rather take Carr on a $10 million less cap hit?
Definitely that.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Derek Carr's going to make
that.
$35 million to the cap next year in 2024. Daniel Jones going to 45. And then you've got Geno Smith. Geno Smith's contract right now is not actually released numbers-wise.
Yeah, we don't know how it breaks down yet.
We don't know, but I do know this. Geno Smith's contract won't be even what Daniel Jones or Derek Carr's contract is going to be. It's not, because he's getting less money and less money guaranteed. He signed a 3-year, $75 million contract and a lot of incentives. Right now, when you look at Geno Smith's contract, Geno Smith's contract is 1 year, $40 million guaranteed and a whole bunch of incentives. You're on the hook for Geno Smith for 1 year, and you can maneuver those that guaranteed money around between the cap hit this year and the dead cap next year. You can move it around.
Puts you in a position where if you're Seattle, draft a quarterback this year, you've drafted pretty high. Thank you, Denver.
And if he does well, then you got him for 2 years.
Yeah, then your new quarterback can chill out even longer to learn.
Or you don't draft a new quarterback.
Or you could wait and draft a new quarterback next year.
Exactly. That's
like
why
they got options.
That's why I think the middle class quarterback is back, and it's these type of guys.
Yeah.
Are Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Geno Smith, any one of them a top 10 quarterback?
Nope.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't.
I wouldn't. They top 15 though, in their current systems.
Yeah, I probably would.
They
say
can win
that.
you football games. Yeah. Like it's been like we give Derek Carr a lot of flack on this show. A lot of times deservedly so. Other times it's just fun to pick on other quarterbacks in the division. That being said, Derek Carr on a competent roster can win you football games. Like Derek Carr on that Saints roster could win them 10+ games. Like,
yes,
is he going to win them a Super Bowl? No. Can he get them to the playoffs and maybe even win a playoff game? Possibly. Sure. Geno Smith just showed we could do with that Seattle roster, and it will logically get better.
Well, they will, because hopefully they'll get a good pick.
Yeah,
At the fifth pick.
we just saw what Daniel Jones did in 1 year with the Giants. That was magic. Like, those are guys that, are they ever going to be the guys that by themselves elevate your roster and win you a championship? No. But are they guys that if you got a lot of great stuff around them and you need just enough at quarterback to become a big winner, they can do it. It's not the blueprint way or a great way to end up winning a championship, but it's definitely a way to stumble into one if everything you need a lot more things to fall your way. But that's a guy at the spot who, if things do fall your way, the job can't get done.
There are 4 tiers of quarterback in the NFL. Quarterbacks who you win because of.
Yeah.
That is Patrick Mahomes. That is Josh Allen.
Mm.
That is Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
That is those type of guys. You win because of them. All right. The second tier of quarterback is you can win with. They're not good enough to take over a game, but you can win.
Yeah, they get
with
the
them.
right things, right schemes.
Yes.
You can win with them.
You can win with them.
Yeah. Hand in hand, they can work together.
And those are to me, the Daniel Jones, the Derek Carr, the Geno Smith.
Yeah, guys that by themselves are not going to elevate the roster, but you get those right pieces, you can win football games with them, no doubt.
Then there is the third tier of just below that where you win because your team is good. And those quarterbacks are very simple. That's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
He led them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. It helped that his entire team around him was fantastic, and he was just enough to not screw it up.
Was terrific.
Until he started screwing it up.
Terrific.
Yeah.
So that is who the third tier is. And then the last tier is,
what are you doing?
You win in spite of your quarterback. That was the Jets last year.
Yeah.
You almost made the playoff in spite of your quarterback because your quarterback play was so bad. Those are the four tiers. Where do you fall into? Most people fall into tier 2 and honestly tier 4.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of,
tier 3 is a very rare tier.
Like to me, tier 3 is, you could honestly put Kirk Cousins in tier 3.
Yeah, you probably could. Tier 3 for me is kind of a weird transition tier of usually they're only occupied by guys kind of moving from 4 to 2.
So that a lot of people are in in tier 2.
Yeah.
To me, Dak Prescott.
A ton of guys occupy tier 2, which is just you win with them. You put a good enough team around them, you can win games with them. To win a championship with that kind of a quarterback, it can be done, but it requires a lot of things to fall your way. It requires you to build a very good full-on roster.
Like right now in the AFC West, you have got Patrick Mahomes. You win because of him.
Yeah, tier 1.
Okay.
Best quarterback in the NFL.
Justin Herbert, I would put him at tier 2.
I would. You win with him.
I'm not there yet on tier 1 because he has never won a playoff game.
No.
He's been to the playoffs one time in 3 years.
But he's definitely been able to help them win with things around him. Definitely. So he's definitely tier 2. I'm with you.
Right now, Russell Wilson, he is tier 4.
Yeah.
He is in the
any game they won last year was in spite of Russell dragging them down.
He sucked.
He was bad.
And then the Raiders don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, Raiders quarterback doesn't exist.
So, but Derek Carr would be in.
He would have been 2 last year for the Raiders. He got them
question.
wins when their roster wasn't crap.
I think about this a lot when talking about quarterbacks and Justin Herbert. But do you remember the only reason why Justin Herbert played as a rookie was because
I remember.
Because a doctor stabbed Tyrod Taylor with a pain injection for his ribs too deep and thus punctured his lung.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Herbert
then balled out.
Played so well that then
there's man, maybe we should let this Herbie dude just be our quarterback.
Tyrod Taylor didn't play a game that year. He was going to be the starter. And unless he played like absolute doo-doo,
he was going to be the starter all year. He was Herbert a year.
He was going to get I think about that a lot.
The
doctor altered a franchise.
Mm-hmm. He sped up what they were doing a year early.
Because of his ineptitude.
Yes.
And
100% correct.
And he cost an NFL player a starting year.
Yep.
Because he couldn't do
he was a dummy.
I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I really do.
I'm with you. It crosses my brain every now and then.
Because he played against the Chiefs game 1.
Game 2 of the year. It was game 2 of the year. Tyrod Taylor played game 1.
That's right. And all of a sudden we're like, Justin Herbert's going to start. And we're like,
yeah, that's what we were very confused.
So no, we're like, I was
I was too, because I was, and I will be open. I was a staunch, Herbert's not going to be a good NFL quarterback guy. I was staunchly in that camp. I will very much admit I was wrong. That kid can play some football. Because I remember watching it, and my entire thought during the game was like, oh man, I was wrong. This kid can play. And he has. He plays very well. And now he no longer has a moron as his offensive coordinator.
From the text line, I don't think Joe Burrow has proven to be that tier yet. Too many stud weapons. Let's see what he does after free agency for those guys. I'm going to put him in that aspect of it because that's who he's got. I mean,
I'm not going to penalize him for some of the great comeback wins he's had because he has good receivers.
If that's the case, we thought Patrick Mahomes was that guy.
And you could, if that's your logic, then you were not allowed to put Mahomes into that tier until this year. And if you say that, that's fine. Then your logic is consistent.
Because he had Travis Kelce.
Because he had 2 Hall of Famers.
He had Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
He had Sammy Watkins. So
Mahomes' his first 2 years had 2 Hall of Famers the entire time.
Yeah, I think Joey B. You guys are on the Joey B. fan.
Brendan and I have been Joe B. guys since
for a long
LSU.
time. I think he's a little too cocky for me.
Nah, Joe B's great. Love Joe Cool.
But and the reason why is because he's beaten my team a lot, I think.
And you're scarred by that. It's fun.
You're not as a diehard Chiefs fan as I am, and that's okay. That's okay. Coming up next, we got Everyone Loves the List, our favorite arcade games. Everyone Loves the List National Arcade Day. So I need to know your favorite arcade games as a kid, or technically, I guess today.
Technically, if I went to an arcade as an adult, this also counts.
Yep.
Number 4 for me. Only briefly got to play this in the arcade so that's why it sits on 4. I did get to play a little Street Fighter in an arcade form. That's very fun. I enjoyed it in other forms a lot more. But that's another one for me, so I put it there.
Frogger.
Ooh, good choice.
Very good at Frogger.
Frogger's very fun. Honorable mention for me, but Frogger's a good one. Number 3 for me, Galaga. I love Galaga. Galaga's really fun.
No, you played that in the arcade?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Number 3, NBA Jam, man. Loved NBA
Yeah.
Jam as a kid in the arcade. Number 3, NBA Jam for me.
NBA Jam was very fun. I would agree with that one. Number 2 for me, it's in its best fun in the old arcade version game style of the actual whole machine. Pac-Man. Pac-Man, one of the original OGs of the arcade, and it is very fun.
I didn't like Pac-Man because I thought it was lame. It is
You're lame.
It is an OG, but I think it's kind of lame. Number 2 for me, and I had a hard time debating on number 1 and number 2. But number 2, I went with Cruising USA. Man, I loved hopping in that car and sitting back and driving. Cruising USA. Love it.
Cruising USA. I think I've played that before.
It's awesome.
That's an interesting one. That's a good
cruising.
pick, though. Number 1 for me was very simple. It's Space Invaders. I love Space Invaders. I wasn't that great at it, but man, did I love Space Invaders.
You chose like all like 1970s games.
Yeah, and they somehow, when I was a kid to go to little arcade places, they still had them.
Interesting.
Which is why I did really like them.
Yeah, I got mine are more like the middle age that time. Number 1, it wasn't even a question. I loved this game and I was so good at it because it was small corrections. The game was called Off Road. It was the driving game with the yellow, blue, and red sections, and it was the Jeep, the trucks, on the dirt track.
Okay,
I was so good at that game.
Very fun.
That was my number 1 arcade game. Love that game. Coming up next, we'll talk little Big 12 hoops. Mic'd up, Jake Fulton caster with you, gearing up to send it to Emporia for Class 5A girls basketball for the next 2 games. From the text line, how is the arcade basketball shooting contest not allowed? And you were referring to is the great game called Pop-A-Shot.
Yeah, Pop-A-Shot, legendary game.
And have I told you about Pop-A-Shot?
I don't know what specifically you could tell me about Pop-A-Shot.
It was invented in Salina.
Oh, maybe you told me that. I don't know. If you did, I've completely forgotten.
Yeah, Pop-A-Shot was invented in Salina, Kansas.
Okay. I do like Pop-A-Shot.
Who hates Pop-A-Shot?
Yeah, crazy people.
Here's the thing. I don't include
nerds.
I don't think Pop-A-Shot is an arcade game. I look at Pop-A-Shot as pool or darts or something of that nature. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
so,
when I think of game, I think of Galaga and Frogger and those types of games.
I have a very specific way I define what's an arcade game. And it goes beyond just, can you find it in an arcade? Because you can find Pop-A-Shot in an arcade.
Yeah.
Big, entertainment place for kids. They have Pop-A-Shot. Is it a game, like a video game style digital thing, contained in some kind of towered setup? Like,
you just say video game.
But like it needs, Pac-Man needs to be the big standing Pac-Man machine. Like your off-road gaming things count because like they have that setup, but it's almost like a racing sim, so the wheel is your control.
Yeah.
Pop-A-Shot doesn't count because it's just a thing set up with its tiny digital scoreboard, but the game is you physically shooting a basketball.
Yeah. It's more of a skill.
Yeah. It's not really playing a video game.
No.
You're just playing a game at an arcade.
Correct. And that's why I don't include that.
Yes. It's a very, very arbitrary difference.
Yeah.
But I think that is what sets it apart.
It's like axe throwing.
Yeah. Like it's game.
Axe
you
throwing,
could technically put that in an adult arcade. It's not an arcade game.
Or like shuffleboard, the handheld shuffleboard.
That can be put at an arcade. It is not an arcade game.
Yeah, I agree with that. No, but the Pop-A-Shot's fantastic.
Pop-A-Shot is very fun. I'm not great at it, but I love it.
Games and contests and bets that I've won at Pop-A-Shot, a lot of fun.
I cannot, empathize with that experience.
So much fun. We had a pop shot in my basement.
Oh, cool.
It was sweet.
I wasn't that cool.
What we did was we took down one of the sides because it's netted on both sides, right? We took down one of the sides with the nets, and then we played 2-on-2 basketball.
Okay.
So you just played 2-on-2 basketball, and you had to play on your knees.
Oh, okay.
So then you're shooting and passing and checking people into the wall, and there was no fouls.
Yeah, I wasn't able to do that.
Yes, a lot of fun.
Didn't have a pop shot in my basement. Didn't have friends, so I'd want to come do that.
Well, you said didn't have friends that would come and do that.
Yeah, I had to clarify. I listen. I had friends in high school.
Okay, so I say
I had some. I'm still friends with them to this day.
Yeah.
For high school, though, that's a different conversation. But yeah, no, they wouldn't have wanted to play 2-on-2 basketball, pop a shot. We did other stuff.
From the text line, what about the game where you roll the ball that pops up and the number holds?
That's skee ball.
Skee ball.
The same thing as pop a shot. It requires a level of physical skill.
Yeah.
It's not a video game contraption.
Yeah.
It is play now. That one I think could fit more into the arcade game style than Pop a Shot because that's more in only arcades, but it's still not an arcade game.
Same thing.
Because it's the same principled problem. But skee ball, also very fun. Skee ball's great.
Fun fact. My wife and I have got into many a fun contest playing skee ball.
Wow, I'm so shocked. This is my shocked face.
She's really good at skee ball.
See, okay.
Good at
it's not
skee
gonna
ball.
like I would have expected that, but I'm not surprised.
She's good
either.
at skee ball.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. We've played a lot of ski. Like I do two games when you go to like the Pennant, downtown. Yeah. There are two games that I go play at the Pennant upstairs. Skee ball, Frogger. That's it.
Frogger is fun.
Great game.
Frogger is very fun.
Fantastic. Someone from the text line said Pong.
Pong, good. Vintage classic.
No, that tells me that you are like 70. No disrespect. If anybody says Pong, I mean you were older in the 80s when that came out, or the 70s or whenever it did. That's not a knock. I'm just saying if you say Pong, you're dating yourself.
Pong is fun though.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first ever video game. Beep, beep, beep. But
it's fun.
Anyway,
I enjoyed playing Pong.
Alrighty, Big 12 tournament time.
Yes.
All right, give me your bracket. Who you got winning tonight?
I was asked, do you want me to have tonight? Tonight, I have West.
No, I don't want you to have tonight.
I asked a question.
A dumb question gets a dumb response.
I asked a question.
Admit it. That was a dumb question.
I got West Virginia winning against Texas Tech.
Okay.
I have Oklahoma State beating Oklahoma.
I've got West Virginia winning. I've got Oklahoma.
Oh, you got the Sooners.
I got the Sooners pulling off an upset over Oklahoma State.
That's a choice.
I'm going to take Oklahoma. I can't go full chalk. Fun fact, Dan filled out his bracket.
Yeah.
Full chalk. It is West Virginia, Oklahoma State. He's got Baylor. He's got KU. He's got Texas. He's got K-State. He's got Texas. He's got KU. And he's got KU.
Dan, as he filled it out, as our little cubicle there, just goes, man, I got a chalky looking bracket over here.
Not chalky. It is straight chalk. It's not chalky. It's chalk.
It happens. Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah. So
it doesn't inherently make it bad.
Yep. All right. So now, who do you got tomorrow?
For KU against West Virginia, I have KU winning. I about hopped ahead to the semis there. For KU West Virginia, I'd have the Jayhawks winning that game. Baylor Iowa State, I have Baylor winning. I don't think Iowa State can lose to Baylor twice in a row. And I don't think Baylor can be that bad twice in a row. I could be wrong. I don't think they can be. Texas taking on Oklahoma State in mind. I have Texas winning. And then K-State, TCU. TCU doesn't have Eddie Lampkin now. They have all this other stuff going on. I think K-State wins.
Okay.
So chalky on my second day.
I have got Baylor winning. I've got KU winning. I've got Texas winning. And I've got K-State winning. I do. I think the Lampkin, not as big a deal as we've seen in the past, but I got chalk there.
Okay, that's fair.
I do.
That's fair. Be for KU and Baylor in one of my semis. I have KU beating Baylor. in that one, and then K-State, Texas. I have K-State beating Texas, so that's where my non-chalk happens.
I've got KU beating Baylor, and I've got Texas beating K-State.
So you also, post-opening round, have a lot of chalk.
So far, yes.
That's fair.
And you've got KU over K-State. I hope that happens. That would be awesome.
I think KU K-State would be the most entertaining way to wrap this thing up, and I do have KU over K-State in a very close game. But I think the Jayhawks will get it done. I've
got Texas over KU. I'm going to take the Longhorns.
Fair enough.
To win the Big 12 tournament.
Okay.
So that's what I think is going to happen today for the Big 12 tournament.
So your piece of non-chalk is Oklahoma beating Oklahoma State, where my piece of non-chalk is K-State beating Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
From the text line, got it right. Nailed it. Turned 70 last month. Yes. And that's not a disrespect. That's
just how the game works.
That's how the game works. If you played Pong, you old. That's just how it is. Like, if you had a bag phone in your car,
you old.
You old. That was my dad.
Jake's dad, Mr. Laban.
Yeah.
Old.
Yeah. So, as for the skee ball is everybody. Skee ball is universal. Skee ball doesn't have an age. Skee ball,
skee ball never has an age.
Yeah, skee ball, no question.
Skee ball is fun for kids ages 7 to 92.
Yeah. We got some high school hoops coming up.
We do.
What's our predictions in Emporia? Here's what I think. I think this will be a tough game today for the Seaman Lady Vikes. They are so good defensively. Yeah, they are. They run around, steal the ball like crazy. I think St. Thomas Aquinas will beat Park because Aquinas is a juggernaut of a program. If Park had anybody other than Aquinas, I might pick Park.
It's just Aquinas is a tough draw. Yes. It's a really tough draw.
Yes. So I'm going to take Aquinas to win that one.
Okay.
And then I think that is your championship game. I think the semifinal game in Class 5A will be played on Friday at 2:00. And it is going to be the Seaman Lady Vikes versus St. Thomas Aquinas.
You think winner of that doesn't matter who sees them on Saturday.
Yeah,
they're your state champion.
I think they are. I think they are going to end up winning it all.
It's not the worst prediction to make. I mean, Seaman's been so great this year, and couple that with St. Thomas Aquinas, their history. No, I think that's fair. Seaman against St. James. I think St. James will put up a fight, but I mean, when I watched Seaman earlier this year and called one of their first games, that's just a Seaman team whose defense just doesn't let you breathe.
Yeah,
those girls just play in your face, take the ball away. They're crazy. I love it.
And the last thing for 5A boys, if it's Highland Park's tournament, Highland Park has not played in a great league. They played some good teams. They beat Lawrence, who is a really good team in Class 6A. They beat them in the TIT.
Yeah.
They've beaten a couple other good teams, but their league isn't as good.
Yeah.
But they're so talented, and they just it's a full 32 minutes of basketball.
Yeah.
If they don't win it all, I think it'll be a disappointment. So I'm going to pick the Park boys to win another state title. Coming up next, we are going to head to Emporia to Brendan Dworzinski state tournament. Lady Vikes taking on St. James. St. James, the 8th seed, 17-5. That's why I think it's going to, and they play in a tough league. It's going to be a good one. Brendan will have a call that one, plus Aquinas and Park at 4:00. Dan will have the late call in the evening time with Mound Ridge taking on St. Mary's. And then tomorrow we'll have the Highland Park boys at 2:00 and the rural girls at 4:00. Then we'll go into K-State hoops. So that'll do it for this shortened edition. Of course, all of our Road to a Championship brought to you by Lewis Toyota, 470 and Fairlawn. Buy local, buy Lewis here at Lewis Toyota. Coming up next, Brendan Dworzinski joins us for Class 5A state tournament action in Emporia.